Well, by 67, actually, he'd gone off to Australia, but his main era was from 61 to 65, when, let's say, he had the Well I Ask You, to Get Lost, and so on. So those were our salad days. But by 66, 67, I'd started writing seriously, and by 69, I was recording myself. And it took a while for Robin to come round until the 70s. So the Sarstedts, we get there in the end.
You started out as a family, really, didn't you? And that's the way you're continuing now. Of course, your son over there, Danny, playing the keyboards and the piano for you today. How did you actually all get started, though? Because were you 13 or 14 or something?
Yeah, it started, I think, in a very simple way at school. We just wanted to be the school skiffle group at that time. I mean, this is like the middle 50s somewhere. And so, with the influence of Lonnie Donegan and so on, we started the skiffle group, and it naturally evolved into a kind of a rock group as soon as electric guitars arrived in England. So we predated that era, the Fender era. When they arrived, we naturally moved in with that sort of scene, and we started getting into Elvis Presley stuff, and with those songs until with me, until I heard. About 1963, 64, I was listening very seriously to Bob Dylan and the way he put his lyrics together. So that gave me a different direction at that point.
I was going to say, who are your major influences? Because at that time, certainly the late 1960s, the acoustic players like Dylan, Donovan, people like that, were they a big influence on you?
Yeah, they were, because it's what they were saying, really, rather than what sort of sound it was. I really thought that they were the people who were speaking for the culture, as it were. They were a little bit avant-garde in their thoughts, and I admired that. They were taking risks with lyric and song, and making, although using a folk root, which was very, nice. That the tunes themselves were based on earlier tunes, madrigals and so on. But the lyrics were very up to date, which in rock and roll, except for Chuck Berry, perhaps, who was very, extremely contemporary about the inner city sort of thing, which he wrote about. The rest of it wasn't that important lyrically, I thought.
You were spending a lot of time, in fact you lived for a while in Copenhagen, didn't you?
That's right, in Copenhagen. I got there in 66 because I'd heard it was a great town for folks. It had a great folk scene, lots of student clubs and so on, which was the environment for a young writer to grow in, I think. So that's where I, in fact, wrote Where Do You Go To? That's where I got married, and that's where my son Daniel, over there, that's where he was born.
I thought you were smiling.
Yeah, it's a very important. It was an important era. Some of the best years of my life were spent in Denmark.
A lot of time as well with your guitar in your case, wandering around, playing all over the place, didn't you? All over the world, really.
Yeah, that was the lifestyle. You get your guitar and you become that troubadour character, and you try to learn from what's going on around you as you travel. But I mean, I'm lucky. I loved that. I loved traveling. I liked that book at school, The Autobiography of a Supertramp. I think when I was about 11 or 12, I was reading that. And that's very much the story of the vagabond, the hobo. Well, of course, he's on the railroads in America. All those things, the Woody Guthrie things, on the road. That was a very big part of my fantasy.
Thank you so much for listening to this interview. If you enjoyed it, please click on the like button and ring that notification bell. And there are many, many more to listen to on this channel, so make sure you subscribe if you possibly can. Thank you.